Hello everybody, Christopher Gates from the Daily Norseman here to take a look at this weekend playoff matchup between the Green Bay Packers and the Minnesota Vikings. Taking a look back at the previous two matchups between these two teams back in Week 13 at Lambeau Field. Two pretty disastrous interceptions by Christian Ponder, one in the red zone and one just outside the red zone, allowed the Packers to overcome a 210-yard rushing performance by Adrian Peterson and ultimately gave the Packers a 23-14 victory at Lambeau Field. Fast forward to this past weekend, Week 17, Vikings needing to win and get in as far as the postseason berth is concerned, and that is exactly what they did. 199 more yards from Adrian Peterson, and quite frankly what was the best game of Christian Ponder's NFL career, as he wound up with 3 touchdown passes, and Blair Walsh's last-second 29-yard field goal put the Vikings into the postseason with a 37-34 victory. The Vikings are once again a sizable underdog as they go into this one. For entertainment purposes only, most places have the Vikings as more than a touchdown underdog in this one, but that doesn't mean it's impossible for them to win this weekend. And there are several keys that they will have to keep in mind if they want to be victorious. The first one, and it's the one we've mentioned in just about every video we've done so far, is that they have to play clean football. In the games this season where they have been even or better in the turnover ratio, the Minnesota Vikings are 10-0 in the 2012 season. In the games where they dip into the negative in the takeaway giveaway ratio, they are 0-6. So it doesn't get any more clear than that for the Minnesota Vikings. They need to not turn the ball over on their own, whether it's fumbles, interceptions from Christian Ponder, or what have you, and they need to maybe force a couple of mistakes out of Green Bay, interceptions, fumbles, maybe something on special teams, but they cannot afford to give the Green Bay offense extra opportunities because Minnesota is not an offense that is designed to play from behind. One of the big things that will help the Minnesota Vikings keep themselves clean in the turnover column on Saturday night is if Christian Ponder continues exhibiting the patience he's found over the last quarter of the season. Ponder hasn't thrown an interception in his last 14 quarters, and the 2 interceptions he threw in the loss at Green Bay were largely the result of him attempting to throw passes into places that he probably shouldn't have been throwing the football. Dom Capers and company didn't blitz him very much in the Week 17 game at the Metrodome. They blitzed him a lot in the Week 13 contest at Lambeau Field, and I would expect them to try to bring a lot more pressure against him on Saturday night. And when that happens, Ponder has the ability to avoid the rush, and when he does so, he needs to keep his eyes downfield, or if all else fails, make something happen with his feet, because as we've seen on more than one occasion this year, he does have the ability to make plays with his feet on the run down the field. The next key concerns the Vikings defense. The Green Bay offense is a big play offense, and if they want to keep that from happening, the Minnesota Vikings defense is going to have to continue exhibiting solid tackling. They failed in that aspect a few times in the Week 17 matchup at the Metrodome, and Green Bay's receivers are all quite good at taking short catches and turning them into big gains, and players like Antoine Winfield, A.J. Jefferson, Josh Robinson, Marcus Sherrills, players like that are going to have to try to limit the damage that the Green Bay receivers can do after the catch. Aaron Rodgers is going to find Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb and Greg Jennings. There's no doubt about that. Those guys are going to get open. But if the Vikings want to mitigate the damage that those guys can do in the passing game, they need to get up on those receivers, wrap up immediately after the catch, and keep them from making big plays after the catch has been made. Another part of that for the defense is to obviously get after quarterback Aaron Rodgers, and when they get after the quarterback, they have to remain disciplined when they do so. What I mean by that is in the Week 13 contest at Lambeau Field, there were a lot of times where Aaron Rodgers appeared to be under pressure. He rolled out usually to his right to Brian Robinson's side, and once he got past the contain of Brian Robinson, there was really nobody out there to check him in any way, so he could just kind of scan wherever he needed to for open receivers and make sure that he could find open guys to complete passes. The discipline needs to be there from Jared Allen, Robinson, Everson Griffin, and whoever else the Vikings have out there, because if Rodgers is allowed to move around, he does have mobility. He's very good at throwing on the run and finding his open receivers. The Vikings need to keep the edges with their edge pass rushers and try to make Rodgers step up into Vikings defenders rather than being able to run around the outsides and look for open receivers in the passing game. The last key for the Vikings in this football game is the same key that we've seen every game this season. They need to pound Adrian Peterson early, late, inside, outside, and everywhere in between. In 2 games against the Packers this year, Peterson is averaging 204.5 yards rushing, and it didn't appear to me that at the end of the Week 17 contest at the Metrodome that there were very many members of that Green Bay defense that wanted anything to do with tackling number 28. This Saturday night in Green Bay, it's going to be cold, it's going to be windy, there's a chance that there's going to be snow, and that is the sort of weather that is more conducive to the type of ground and pound offense that the Vikings want to run. They need to be physical. I think they're a more physical team than Green Bay, and they need number 28 to carry them to victory. Not only to keep Green Bay's offense off the field, but to open up the play-action passing game for Christian Ponder and make things as easy for him as possible. A couple of seasons ago, one of our division rivals, the Chicago Bears, had the opportunity to keep the Green Bay Packers out of the playoffs and failed to do so, and the Packers made them pay by going all the way to the Super Bowl, defeating them in the process. Can the Minnesota Vikings make the Green Bay Packers regret not knocking them out when they had the opportunity? We're going to find out Saturday night in Green Bay. Hope you all be there with us to watch it.